Come gather close, come feel the flame. Lesley George, remember the name. Island soul with a fearless spark. Truth speaks here and it leaves its mark. No dimming down, no playing small. Stepping strong and stand up tall. You walking bold, you move with grace. Mosaic Sparks, come take your place. This is where brilliance learns to speak.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are viewing from, wherever you are listening to us from. Today is a very special day. Today is May 5th. 2026. But before I get into that, I have the honor of having a special guest in studio with me today. Her name is Coach Shirley Ann Felder. She's also known as the Trash Talk Queen. She's an entrepreneur, speaker, author, and transformational coach with more than 30 years of leadership experience. She's also the co-creator of Mosaic Nation, a global women's empowerment community formed during COVID. We all remember those times. Shirley spent over 3 years helping inspire, coach, and empower women worldwide through daily conversations focused on growth, courage, and authentic living. Through her company, Ordinary Greatness Consultant, Inc., she helps individuals and communities soar through emotional trash, reclaim their power, and build stronger foundations. Known for her humor, honesty, and real-life wisdom, Shirley brings powerful insights into what it truly takes to build, sustain, and protect meaningful communities. So, without any further ado, welcome, Shirley. And how you doing today?
I am fabulous. Fabulous.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here with me today. And as I mentioned, as I get started, May 5th, 2026. When you hear that date, what does that date mean to you?
That's a life-changing day for me. That day changed my life. Someone offered me an opportunity to do something just when I was about to run out the door. You know, we were on that platform, Clubhouse, and people were talking about, oh, for $39.99, we could 10x it and make you a millionaire and do it. And I was like, I know how hard I had to work to make millions of dollars before. You can't do it. You know how many $39.99s you need? And so I was about to get off that platform, and then somebody tapped me on the shoulder. You know, we've been chasing each other around and following each other in all these little rooms, right? And supporting each other and encouraging each other. And then somebody said, hey, I got an idea. You want to do something? The crazy thing is I said yes. But when I was done, I was like, I don't really know what they want me to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because it was the best opportunity I had since I'd been there. It was the only thing that made sense to me, and it was in alignment with who I am and what I want to do when I grow up.
Wow. And how long ago was that?
Gosh, it's 5 years.
5 years. You know, it's funny because we always think that we can never make an impact. And as you say, 5 years ago, May 5th, 2021, where, you know, the world was falling apart. We did not know what was going to happen. We didn't know what the next week, month, year would look like, right? But as both of us came together, one of the things that we're very aligned on is empowering others, right? And empowering others when two people can come together with an aligned focus, amazing things can happen. And so as you mentioned, you know, we were chasing each other around and we build that synergy. And, you know, just for context for people that are listening, the Mosaic Nation, we built that community to over 1,000 women. And, you know, we hear all the time about women can't come together. But we built the community in a period of 3 years of over 1,000 women. So, you know, as I talk about alignment in female empowerment, what is it? What is that thing for you that is that fire inside of you for that female empowerment? Why is it that you are female empowerment is something that's so dear to your heart?
So for me, for those who don't know my story, my mother died at 39 years old and I was only 12 for 30 days. And no woman should leave this planet that early because she doesn't have support. She doesn't have a place to go and talk to people. There's no help for her. None, of course, we're talking 1978. It's a different world today. However, people still don't feel empowered to speak up for themselves. So people need advocates, people need mentors, people need to grab them by the arm and say, I've got you. We're going to do this together, because courage
Mm.
is not so common, and not many people have courage by themselves. So for me, my mother left this planet way too soon, and my job, I've given myself this job, is to see every woman as my mother until
Mm.
I feel she's okay. Because you could never look at my mother and tell that she was struggling with anything. And she died with so many secrets that I've later found out, that no wonder she had to leave this planet with stress and heart situations and alcoholism. It took her out. And so for me, I'm going to help every woman within earshot of me till she gets sick of me, till I know she's okay. Because we all know, and this isn't a feminist thing, this is a real thing, that women push things forward. We see what women are doing today, right? Because they're not believing anymore, stopping or don't do this. They're not taking those words anymore. They're going for it, and they're making a difference. They're starting businesses, they're movers and shakers. Look at the woman who just won the Derby, just
Oh, yeah.
things are happening, and life is a beautiful thing. So for me, I do this work in honor of my mother, Mattie Mae.
Wow. Wow. What that is, before we came on live, we're talking about the ripple effect, right? And your mother, I know she's looking down on you, but the impact that she's left on you for the age that you were 12 to now, that is your life's work. That's your mission work, right? And something like that, they always say that whatever your passion is, it doesn't matter whether you get paid or not, because that is your mission work. As you were talking about your mother, what I also heard is lack of community. We hear that word community a lot, but really and truly, what does community, when we say the word community, what does that look like? What does that feel like for you as we were able to build this community of women?
Our community started with the two of us, and then we went to 4. Then we were the magic 5 for a while. And then we were like, 5 more came on today, and 3 more. Do you see how many people we had in the room? And, we laughed because we were supposed to do 15 minutes from 7:45 to 8 o'clock. We never done 15 minutes. You know why? Because there's so much. Because what makes a community is when people they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel valued. So
Mhm.
everyone brought their whole selves to those rooms with us.
Mm.
And put it on the table. This is who I am. This is my struggle. This is what I need. Or when we had a topic, because we had themes, right? So when we had a topic, they were like, oh my God, that I feel that. I feel that. And they would share how they felt. And it was just, some days we got off there. I just wanted to cry, because like I'm emotional now. I'm thinking about it, because we changed lives. And we went right 2 to 4 to 5. And as 5, we were doing little workshops and speaking and doing things, and had grandma celebrations and this celebration. And it was, you just watched it like, like put water on flowers and just watched it do this. And it was beautiful. And again, the thing is, women can't get along, or women can't do this. And we did it. We did it for 3 years, 3.5 years, as a matter of fact. And what happened is we had to get back to the real world. Things are starting to open back up. Everybody had to go back to work. They couldn't stay at home anymore. And we had to be responsible adults. But community, you go to a place where you feel like, not you got yes people, but you feel like people understand you. They look like you, their hair's like you, they have a background similar to you, right? They understand you. They don't come in a room and be like, why are they talking about that? They're like, oh my God, that happened for me too. So we had camaraderie, we had alignment, and people, that's how we came up with the nation. We just started as Mosaic. And I was like, we got people from Liberia, people from the UK, like we're a nation up in here. We're the Mosaic Nation. Just different types, shades of color of people, women in different careers, different paths. And in that community, we did a whole lot. We helped people launch businesses, you helped me become a #1 best-selling author, right?
Mm.
I didn't even want to write. You was like, girl, you doing this, right? and that's what it is too. Like there were some things I want to do. He's like, girl, you doing it. And I did it. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for that push. And I'm grateful for the extended deadlines. I'm grateful for all those things, because it allowed us to have more proof in the pudding for our community, to show how a community works, where we love, accept, each other and extend a hand up, not a hand out.
Yeah, I love that. I love when you said yes, people, right? Because, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, and watching the movie last weekend, it just reinforces, things that we knew about him in terms of him having people around him. When you are that large, it's important to have people around you that won't say yes all the time. And even in community, building community, that's also so important for everybody to not be groupthink, right? It's so important for, if may not agree, and you and I have had times where we did not agree on certain things. And just because you don't agree, that doesn't mean that, okay, well, that's the end of the relationship. In community, there's so many things that I learned because, one, you're dealing with so many women from different cultures, different backgrounds, so many different things, right? And so a community gives you such a great way to learn, not only just learn about people, but also to learn about yourself, and to learn about yourself and in stretching and growing. One of the phrases that I love about Les Brown is, once the mind expands, it can never go back. And so in community, in healthy community, as you're growing, it should be where you are learning about other people and you're learning about yourself. So is there anything that that you will say that you learned about yourself in community, in the community, as we were building the community? And like you said, we started off with just you and I, and being honest, we what we knew is we wanted to impact women. That was the foundation. What it looked like, had no clue what it would look like. but the foundation, the why was there, the how was something else. And the how, as you said, just grew and grew, and pretty much us as co-leaders had to adapt. And to be honest with you, now looking back, like, that adaption had to be pretty quick. Like, there wasn't any time that, okay, let me try and get a class or try and whatever, right? It was something you had to figure that out as it's going.
And the thing is, we were on there 5 days a week, and holidays. We didn't take break for Christmas, Thanksgiving. 3 years we spent holidays together. We were a family. Most important though, it was a safe place for people, right? So that's where the magic was. It was a safe place. Not only was it a safe place, I still remember when we had to do an intervention. At night, we were like, hey, one of our sisters is going through this. And we piled up on that Zoom and we were there for hours, just pouring in the love. Could you imagine if there were more community that just said, oh, sister over there in apartment 6B got a problem. We going over, united and helping her, whatever it is she needed. And, back in the day, that's how our ancestors survived.
Yeah.
Looking out for each other, right?
Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
when you think about it, we get away from so many things that work because we're so modernized, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's also what happened when we started to grow, right? Those growing pains, like you said, we had to adapt every day. It's like, oh, we have somebody different in the room, somebody with a different background. We're gonna have to expand to that and incorporate, we doing some homework, right? And we're moving and grooving. And so it was on the go. There was no time for rehearsing, which was beautiful, which made it organic and authentic. I get excited when I think about it. I miss us for sure, but we all have lives and we have to move on and expand because we can't stay in the same position, right? But the fact that it just became a daily safe place for women around the world.
Mm-hmm.
How amazing is that? I'm an old school girl. Like, I like the belly to belly situations, right? And it took me a long time to even adjust to the Zooms. I fight technology as long as I can. I don't fight anymore. Me and Chad and Claude, we hang out. We good. However, thank you, Sine and Charlene. Thank you. However, the fact that, growth has a lot of complexity. And so things started to get a little bit more complex because we didn't go in there like an architect and design. This is how it's going to be. We was just doing 15 minutes and then we was doing 5 hours. They was doing 15 hours. I mean, we had marathons at some point. And what that said is we all needed to be there, to be in community with each other, because you ain't spending 14, 15 hours with people that don't have an alignment with you, that aren't speaking the words you need to hear, that aren't speaking life into you. We've launched boutiques, books, websites, company
Mm,
How amazing is that? That's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah. So the problem is though, when we get complex and things like that, it gets a little messy because
Mm,
we didn't understand boundaries, what we need,
good
right?
point. That's a good point.
We
Yes.
needed some boundaries. So when you're developing community, there has to be boundaries. And
Yes.
I shared with you one time before an organization of women that I had been with for 23 years, and they pulled a coup on me because there were their boundaries were, we don't want somebody like you because you're going to change us. And they pulled a coup and put a 70-year-old woman in my position, and no one had ever run against the president elect, because that's what I was. And she beat me by 5 votes. So they pulled a coup. They had their boundaries in place as a group of women who had been together for over 40, 50 years, right?
Right, right,
They was
right,
like, there's not going to be one of you in here.
right.
And that's when you realize that you're not in the right community. So at
Mm,
first I was angry. Woo, I was mad because I'd been with those women 23 years. I came in there as a little green rookie, right? Learning about the women of New York State and the different entities and different things that they're out there for other women. And this is what happened to me. But that's when I realized that I needed to go back and pour into a different community because I didn't belong there. But I learned things. I had
mhm.
lessons taught to me, and then I learned things and moved out. And so in our organization, as we started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then there wasn't really a lot of competition, even though most of us were coaches, which was a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
We all had our lane. And, people used to say, how you hang around all those coaches? Like, aren't you afraid of what? First, they're my
right.
sisters, right? Second, they poured love into me. I've poured love into them. And I don't care who you are. If you're worried about competition, then we need to have a conversation because there is only one you. If somebody said, oh my God, you speak just like Shirley, that person's crazy because Shirley has her own isms, her own trash talk, her own thing. Lesley has her own isms, right? And so, the island girl, I still play that song every now and then. I lost it the other day. I got to find it. But
Mm,
but anyway, so we all have our own lane and our own things, but we have to understand and respect boundaries.
yeah,
When we give our word, we have to stick to that because all we have as a human being is our word and our honor. And people take that very serious. We can't be nonchalant about that. And that was the power of that. That gave us the ability to have those moments and those meetings where we're doing interventions because they were like, I trust them. They poured into me. So when you build these communities and you develop them, you have to have those boundaries in place. You have to have some rules and some guidelines. We were kind of operating off the seat of our pants because it just felt so good. And it just, like I said, it fell together so organically.
mm,
We had the IT girl, we had the website girl, we had the mission statement person, we had the motivational, inspirational Shirley, we had the wow women, like our Wild Women Wednesdays. That was so much fun. You would research amazing women. I still think about going at, was it Alabama where the
yeah.
statue
Actually,
was?
I had to tell somebody about that the other day. Yes, Alabama.
Oh, I still like, look, I got goosebumps just talking about it. So when you talked about that and you did the research to find women that in history every day still popping up doing amazing things, can you imagine if my mother knew about those women
Mm,
while she was struggling? Her struggle wouldn't have been solo,
yeah,
right? She would have
yeah,
been in community with other like-minded women fighting for whatever it is they want, like we were doing. We were fighting for entrepreneurship. We were
yeah,
fighting to do what we wanted. All of us wanted to start our own businesses and be entrepreneurs and help and teach, whether it was, food, nutrition, whatever it was. And so that Wild Woman Wednesday was a beautiful thing, right? And Monday, Magical Mondays. I was telling someone the other day about how you big Disney fan, how you would find the stories and some of them movies I never saw. And you would find the stories. And here I am, like, here I am 58, 59 years old, 57 years old, looking at Disney shows for the first time, been out forever. They're already in collector's items.
hmm.
And I'm looking at them forever because you took those stories and applied them to today and drew the analogy to life. Where could you go and find that? In the Mosaic Nation, nowhere else, right?
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
are other communities. There are other communities of women. We had, there's a lot of communities came out of Clubhouse, but
Hmm.
they weren't like us, right?
Right,
And
right.
so going back to people who think they have competition, there's only one you. You just have to know who you are and perfect you, right?
Absolutely.
And not make yourself perfect, but perfectly understand you and
Right.
accept you the way you are.
Right,
That
right. And I'm glad you brought those points up because for me, as I talked about learning about myself, there were parts of me that I would hide, like the Disney part, like the acronyms, just different parts that I've been doing that all my life. But only until then, like a lot of it I had forgotten about. Like I just said, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. At 13, I wrote out a whole acronym for Thriller. It had, and my brother-in-law still talks about that to this day because it was on my bedroom door. It was every song in Thriller was an acronym that lead you back to the actual word Thriller.
oh wow.
And we're talking pre-chat GPT, right? So, and I'm a military brat, so that's kind of where those acronyms came from. But until then, I had buried that part of me. I had buried the Disney part of me until then. So, in community, there's things that you learn about yourself as well as everybody is pouring. So not just don't look at as leaders as they are perfect and they have everything together and they know whatever. Anyone that's listening now, if you're thinking about building a community or you're part of a community, it's a reciprocal process. It's about what you are giving the community and what you're getting from the community. It's not a take. It's a take and give because as we were co-leaders, we were getting something every day that we were able to deposit as well. And then you mentioned boundaries. Boundaries are so important. And yeah, we were flying by the seat of our pants, just doing this thing daily, just knowing that we had to show up for women. So for 3 years consistently, there was not that room open for 3 years consistently. I don't know if anybody in Clubhouse can really say that no matter it was a holiday, a birthday, I was in the hospital, no matter what it was, that room still open, right? So in terms of boundaries is one. So we knew that we had a boundary for that in terms of we knew what we said we needed to continue doing what we said we were going to do, right? So those are some really key lessons as you're bringing people along, as you're making impact. So now let me just shift a little bit and let's talk on the side that somebody may be listening, maybe a woman listening. She's saying, yeah, that's great for you. You guys had a great community. Oh, you guys are doing this and that. But that was not my experience when I was in a community, and I've been hurt in a community. I don't want to be a part of any type of ongoing community. What would be like maybe 2 or 3 highlights that you can give another woman? Because obviously there's some healing that needs to take place there, right? So what could be something that you could offer to someone that's listening? And let me just preface this. I'm always gonna say women because I speak women. So you're gonna hear me say women, but if there's men that's listening, that's fine. We welcome you.
So first, I think we have to keep in mind this, that no matter how beautiful the mission is, there are going to be unhealed people, unclear boundaries, and gossip can challenge the strongest communities, right? So there's going to be breakdown. It happens in your own home, right? So it's no different in a community because you have some control in your own home, right? So, community isn't just about bringing people together. It's about maintaining trust when things get uncomfortable, right? So, if you've been part of a community and you've been burned, here's what I'm going to say. That's a lesson learned, right? That's a lesson. There's wisdom behind everything that happens to you. It's an opportunity for you, as we always used to say in community, to grow, stretch, and learn. And so you can't take everything personal. That's the other thing. As women, it's like, oh my God, that person hurt me and we're putting all these badges on us. No, 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 no. Go in for what serves you and leave the rest, because there is always something for us to learn. There's always a lesson for us to learn. There's always a way for us to get ahead. State why you're there. Let people know. I think that's the other thing that we have to do. We have to speak more boldly about ourselves, who we are and what we want, right? And that's a big part of the work that I do, because, and this isn't a shameless plug, this is real stuff right here, because as we were talking earlier, I've learned a lot about the work that I do as I've been kind of rubbing it and kneading and doughing and treating it like it's dough. And the thing is, when you know who you are and what you stand for, you are unstoppable, right? But when you put on mask A today, mask B tomorrow, C on the next day, and then the following day, we don't even know who you are. Like, who is that? That look like Shirley, but that's not her today. You have to be able to stand up inside yourself and love you. I say
Mm,
this all the time. I'm the trash lady. God doesn't make junk. We do when we're afraid to step inside of who we are. Whatever our quirks are, whatever we're made up of, whatever nationalities, whatever our culture is, right? I think that's just so important to know who you are. And then once you know who you are, somebody could look at you and be like, oh, your hair looks green today. Now you know your hair is brown because you paid for that auburn color to get that gray out. So they can say whatever they want, but there'll be people that try to push your button because
mm,
that's what makes them excited, right? There'll be people who try to be greedy or selfish or look out for themselves. That's a they problem. There'll be people who come in because unfortunately it's the way women are structured because at first they're insecure until they feel
mm.
comfortable, right? But at first it protect myself. Who is she? What are they looking at me? Stop all that stuff. Everybody got junk in their closet and skeletons and bones. Don't nobody care.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
spend so much time worried about what someone else is thinking about us. Girl, they ain't thinking about us. They got more problems than we got. And if we could focus more on that and just focus on self. I didn't say be selfish, but I said focus on self. What am I here to bring to this table? And what can I take away from it? We also learned about speaking life into ourselves, speaking boldly. You came up with the term the brag, right? Brag about yourself. Tell people who you are, damn it. Don't let him get it twisted and let them write the story. You write the story, right? So those are some of the beautiful things that came out of our community. People learned how to speak love and life into themselves, right? People knew that there were people there that cared about them. And when you create a community, you have to protect the mission. You
Mm.
have to protect that mission. You
Yeah.
have to address conflict quickly.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so there were some boo-boos made, because we weren't thinking about conflict. We was just in love with each other.
Yes.
We
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't thinking
Yeah. Yeah.
about conflict. We wasn't
Yeah.
thinking about any of those things.
Yeah.
We can't ignore the unhealthy behavior,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And as leaders, we have to evolve too. We have to do better. We have to, we might have started there, and then we did though. We did, but we was growing fast
Hmm.
after a while because we was like, okay, it's two of us gonna do this. All right, it's five of us. We're gonna have these programs down, right? All right, now we got some new people. We're gonna add them on Friday. So we started evolving and growing and including people, and we started doing what a community's supposed to do: build people. And so that's the beauty of it. Building community is easy. Sustaining it requires emotional maturity.
Mm.
And again, we have people who will come in, and it could be one of us. So I'm not passing judgment, I'm speaking general. But people come in who are unhealed, who have some jealousy, envy still because they're not sure who they are and what lane they're supposed to be in, and they're not sure how to show up. So, you can have a powerful vision and it can bring people together, but only the structure and the integrity can keep it all together, to be honest. And go ahead. So you wanted to
No,
add
no,
some
no.
more?
You go ahead. Great. Go ahead. Finish.
And not every breakdown means failure either. We grow. Sometimes we grow out of the shell, right? Our kids grow up and they moving out and we want them to stay, but they've come for what they needed and now it's time to go on. But as women, it's mine, 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 mine. I love this, and I learned this the hard way in business. I had an opportunity to sell my business for $2 million. But I was like, oh no, this is my baby. I made this baby. No, no, no. I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. And that's what I did. File bankruptcy, right? When I could have sold it. So we have to have a certain mindset that when it's time for things to move on, you got to let it go. So we built something beautiful. And we also learned that even beautiful things require boundaries. I think that's the biggest lesson, that beautiful things require boundaries. And we have to meet occasionally and say, well, where are we? But we was moving so fast and we were working and getting back to work and building our businesses. So we didn't really have a lot of time to meet and fix and fix and fix. However, I have not one regret. I have made beautiful friends. We all still stay connected. We get together when we can, when we're in each other's towns. We drop in, hey, I'm coming through. I still, just like I did in the rooms, I still try to stay connected. As a matter of fact, I was talking to, Shaylin this morning.
Mm.
So beautiful. And I saw her face and I, on Facebook, and I said, you are so beautiful. And then we caught up and talked about her mama and stuff. And I said, give your mama a big hug for me because I wish my mama was here today. And those are the beautiful things, the stories. Tina and I bumped into each other. Me and Cookie see each other. The girls were in the city from another win from another organization that grew out of Clubhouse. And so I went and snatched them up and drove them and brought them here. I was like, they 2 hours away. I'm going to get my sisters. And so, that's what we do. And that's what we did. And we had beautiful meetings. I still remember how I pole danced.
Ah,
So we had great times. It was beautiful things, Daphne, we connected. So I made some beautiful connections that are lifelong for me. Absolutely lifelong for me. I have no regret, and I feel like I stay true to myself because I'm always gonna be in people business, loving on them, whether they want me to or not. Everyone that came in that room, I called them and I said, "Look, you got a few our infamous few minutes." I don't think I talked less than an hour and 45 minutes to anyone that came into our room on a personal level
mm,
to get to know them. But it was a beautiful thing. And again, we created structure, we had themes so that people knew, like people were crowding in for that Wow Women Wednesday, right? And then, we had, I forgot that lady's name. Remember the lady who had us moving our fingers and doing
yeah.
stuff?
Is it
Like
Judy? Was it Judy?
Judy, that's it,
Judy,
Judy.
yeah,
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 so we had like really cool people coming through and doing things. And we all learned new things. Took us out of our comfort zone because that's what community is for too, right?
yeah, yeah.
Took us out of our comfort zone, but we were comfortable within each other. So we were okay to grow and stretch within each other's space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shirley, thank you so much for joining me today. As we said, today is the 5-year anniversary of when we started Mosaic Nation, May 5th, 2021. And this was 5 years ago. And you gave such great points. What I absolutely love is protect the mission and the boundaries. And boundaries, we talk about, I teach on boundaries, and boundaries are so important, not just for everyone else, but boundaries are really for you. And so without you having the correct boundaries, you really don't understand kind of how you're moving and where you should be going. So we just want to thank each and every one of you for popping in, listen to us. I know that when you listen to the pod, it's a different day than when the pod normally goes live. But thank you for joining us today. Leave a review, share this, and share this with anyone that is interested in building a community or has a community and looking to sustain that community, because it's something that we did consistently for 3 years, and we made a tremendous impact in the world. So bye until next time, and we will see you around. Bye bye.
Da, 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 da.